Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. I am Dr. Mike, and with me, as always,
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly. I'll give you my social media information at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram. I'll give you the information that you should like and subscribe to our channel. The little graphics up there, hopefully, to show there. And Mike is at Official Pagan on everything.
I said it, didn't I?
I think you just, I think, did you? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said it.
I thought
I'm
you
not even
just.
getting credit for when I say it. I probably didn't, and now I'm being indignant about it. Like, I said it, and everybody's watching, like, no, we didn't.
Yeah, we'll have to go. I honestly can't tell. I wasn't listening, so we'll go back. But
Kelly's like, I'm not that into whatever you had to say.
yeah, Mike goes like this for a while, but then I get to talk, and that's fun. Then he talks again.
He's like, that's all that matters is
That's
when
right.
it gets to me.
That's right. It's like white noise, white noise, white noise. Kelly, white noise. So,
Pretty sure I said it. But anyway, today we're here to talk about some pinball. Virtual pinball, something that we're both really excited about. Now, for me, I've always been a pinball fan. I've never owned a pinball table the way that Kelly has, and the old school analog style is what you had until recently.
correct.
But I've always been a pinball table fan, and I've always been into pinball video games. I can remember on the original NES having I think it was just called Pinball, which was it was like a black screen, and you had the flippers, and you had to hit some like penguins that walked across the screen. It was very minimal, very minimal. But I played that game for hours and hours. So video pinball's always been something I've enjoyed, especially when it's done well. I'm excited. AtGames and Arcade One Up both have pinball tables coming out, but for the first time, I think I'm leaning towards AtGames for this. This is something we've discussed on the show before. And then Kelly let me know that there's been some pinball tables added to your Legends collection. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, they're providing, and so this gets a little murky. They're completely free right now. Within the At Games infrastructure, there's a section called ArcadeNet where you can play a number of games that are not native to the machine as well. Eventually, this will be more of a store where you can either rent or buy those games. But they've added another subsection underneath ArcadeNet called Cloud Pinball. And with the most recent firmware update, 8 tables became available to you. Now, 4 of the 8 were available earlier. You could download them, put them on a USB stick, and you could play them on there. But now they've added 4 more. Actually, 4 more really good games. In terms, no criticism of the original 4, but these are independent games. Some of them are a little more simple and not quite as fancy as you'll get with something like an arcade pinball on Steam and all that good stuff. But some of the other games they've added are really actually very visually appealing and great play. And actually, all the games are kind of fun to play in terms of that. But with the latest firmware release, they become available. You just go to ArcadeNet, click on the Cloud Pinball option, and what will originally come up is the tiles that you're used to seeing if you have an AtGames Legends, and they're all gray. And the first tile is install pinball. You hit that button. A couple minutes later, I think you have to do a reboot. They're all there. The tiles are now in color, and you can play the games real time. And it's a pretty great addition. I do want to kind of real quick give you the list of the games that are included now for free with the latest firmware update. There's Blue versus Pink, Invaders, Junkyard Cats, Skittles, Space Ramp, Tempex. It's a tough one to say. um, Texas Poker, and Leprechaun King. And why Leprechaun King is particularly important. Our last video, we were talking about the Legends Core, which all of these will be available on as well. In addition to Leprechaun King, there's Leprechaun King Team Play. So that team play guy will be your and my foray into playing our first pinball together.
Nice.
So once we get the cores and get all set up there.
Now, is Leprechaun King one of those games you weren't as into, though?
It was the best of in my opinion, the best of the original batch, but
Okay.
it is. I mean, it has a definite homebrew pinball build feel to it. It's not the high resolution ultra shaded space-like graphics and all that kind of stuff. The graphics on it are a little they're not 8-bit, but they're a lot more simplified. The colors, there's not a lot of shading and gradients. It's kind of solid colors on there. But as far as playability, even though the graphics are a little more on the simplistic side, it's a fun game. And the Leprechaun's kind of lippy, gives you a lot of crap, so it's kind of fun.
Now, is this like the Warwick Davis Leprechaun film franchise Leprechaun?
Uh, I would say they probably, if there was a family reunion, they'd probably both be there, but I think they're on maybe warring sides of the family. So there's hints of that. It's not the Notre Dame Fighting Irish Leprechaun kind of guy. He's somewhere between the Notre Dame Leprechaun and Warwick Davis's Leprechaun.
Okay. Now, what are your favorites of this 8 table selection?
So I think so. Blue versus Pink and Tempex are the two that. So Tempex is clearly a homage to Tempest in terms of what you've got kind of going on the gameplay and what you're doing, and things are kind of falling down. It's got that the color palette is very similar to Tempest, and it definitely kind of has that feel to it. So it's got a really good play to it. Blue versus Pink is another one that's just so far gameplay wise and look of the table I really like a lot. So that's been fun. Space Ramp was okay. Didn't mind it. We'll include kind of as this video is going on, I did capture some gameplay and we'll be dropping it in hopefully kind of throughout the video so you can see a little bit of each of these as I'm talking about them. I do want to, if there's as any footage is shown of the Leprechaun example or demo that's going on, I did not have any problems with lag throughout recording all the other 7 tables. But I had a problem with my streaming on YouTube and the video had stopped, so I had to go back and do Leprechaun King again. And for whatever reason, when I went back in that next time, I had severe lag issues in that I would hit the flipper button and it was a solid 2 or 3 seconds later before there'd be any action. So while you're not going to see a lot of outstanding pinball play in any of the demos that you see so far, when you see the Leprechaun stuff, oh my gosh, it's horrible. and I finally was reduced to just, I'm going to keep hitting the buttons as fast as I can, praying to God that it syncs up and hits it. So it's probably not a very good demo of the capabilities of Leprechaun King, but I just, the gameplay on that one, I'll own the poor gameplay on any of the other demos, but on that last one, I had bad lag. Not my fault.
These sound like convenient excuses, sir.
I'm only claiming it for one game, so.
Now, coming from the traditional pinball background and being an owner of an analog pinball table, what first got you into video pinball? Was this something you were interested in before, or is it just the more recent sort of building world of this now?
So, I've always been a big pinball fan. I do really like analog quite a bit. I mean, the classic ones are actually really fun and cool to play. Probably my favorite. Although when you get a really good themed newer generation pinball machine, those can be incredibly fun too as well. So like certainly the Alice Cooper pinball machine comes to mind as a pretty cool one. So I've always liked pinball. My first foray into video pinball was Atari Pinball, which I would play actually, now that I think about it, a lot. Also, no penguins in that one, but a couple of very square bumpers and a chute that you would go up and down to kind of eventually, after so many passes, get extra points and diamonds you had to knock off on the top. But so Atari, I liked being able to play pinball on video, and I was able to kind of enjoy the 26. I actually did enjoy the 2600 for a while, but you come across an a video pinball arcade on Steam, and the variety of games and the quality of gameplay on all that, it's pretty great simulation. So I just think as I started to become aware of things that were available on Steam, and then as AtGames began to introduce it as part of the equation in their environment, I got a lot more interested. And of course, certainly their dedicated pinball machine got me super interested.
Now, do you have a favorite pinball table?
Oh gosh, let me think on that for a second. Do you?
So it's cliche, but the Adams Family pinball table, which I know is one of the best selling of all time, I've read numerous times when people talk about pinball tables. That was an amazing pinball table. Not only was it really well designed, but it did a lot of cool things with magnets, with the ball, and things like that. Really cool stuff. Really great design. Really fun to play. So that's definitely up there for me. But I also really love, and I don't think it gets the attention. It is on Pinball Arcade though. I don't think it gets as much attention as it deserves. Is the Bram Stoker's Dracula pinball from the Francis Ford Coppola movie from the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of little like built-in mini games and objectives and things like that that make it really fun beyond just the already well designed table itself.
Yep, that's good. I'd probably say kind of that era, the later the Star Trek one
Okay.
was pretty fun. I mean, because it had just had a lot going on in addition to the pin. I mean, with the Enterprise and different kinds of things going on. The Star Trek one was really cool. I like any game that does offer a multi-ball option. There, I do tend to go back to favoring the original ones better because typically in the kind of OG pinball games that would have multi-ball, you would hit the ball and it would get into a pocket on the gameplay, and it would stay there and it would give you a second one. So you could eventually say, okay, once I get all three of these loaded up, I'm going to get to play them. And you knew they were going to come from, and you had a fighting chance. Although once you get multiple balls going on a pinball game, it's, kind of crazy. With the newer games that have the multi-ball thing, you just know eventually it says, okay, multi-ball, and then it's like, holy crap, where's it coming from? Because they're going to be launching from all over the place. And it's a really confusing moment to start off with from there. So I like the ones that give you that multi-ball option as well. But I think probably I just liked a lot of the additional kind of bonus stuff they had with Star Trek. That was pretty cool.
Nice. And that's what I like about Bram Stoker's Dracula. And it did a really good job. So it had the little LED screen that was common in the 90s with them, but it did a great job of integrating that into the mini games. The little mini objectives and things that it would set up for you within the table itself. So that's why I really like that. But Adam's Family, of course, is a classic.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll have to.
Also, OG Multi Ball would be a good nickname. That's your list.
A nickname. OG multi-ball? I don't know. Maybe we'll keep that as a band name. I'll stick with Roll Deep. Thank you very much.
I think you need to do like a little solo podcast, just like 5 minutes a week or something, and it's Roll Deep with OG Multi Ball.
Well, we'll look into that. That could be. Well, so we'll talk offline. Actually, I think there may be a place where we could apply those names. So we'll talk about that offline. I don't think
Interesting.
So. Right, yeah, but again, AtGames is continuing to, I think, do a very good job in making their offering compelling. Getting the core out, we're going to get to kind of enjoy that a little bit more. Now adding these free pinball games, and again, the setup's easy. Get to the most current firmware, go in and do the install, and you're going to be good to go. I will pro tip, I don't know if it's a pro tip or whatever, but some of the one downside of these, I would say, because they're all done by independent folks, is there is sometimes inconsistency on, do I need to insert a coin? How do I insert a coin? How do I get credits into the game? And so sometimes starting it up, it's not always just hit start. And like for most of the AtGame environment, you hit menu, you get a pop-up and you can say insert coin. That's not available on the pinball environment. So you have to kind of fiddle around. But I will say my experience has been, when in doubt, the rewind button appears to often be, if you need to insert a coin, that's a good way to go. That seems to work a lot. And if that doesn't work, some combination of rewind, single player start, and the A button will get you there. But you may have to kind of keep bang a little bit to kind of figure that out. But that rewind button eventually took me a while in a couple of the games to go, how do I even get this thing started? And it wasn't until I hit rewind, it's like, oh, that just inserted a coin. I'm good to go.
So these 8 tables, these are not like pinball arcade style recreations of analog tables. These are just straight digital pinball games.
These are straight digital pinball games.
Okay.
Yeah, that I think, and I'm unclear how the play would work on the AtGames pinball. How much action you're going to get. I know I'm highly confident with Leprechaun that the upper the upper monitor of the pinball game is going to be nice and integrated, and it's going to make a lot of sense because it's showing up on the side when you play Leprechaun King. I'm not sure on some of the others how that's going to necessarily work on that, but yeah, none of these are that I'm aware of. These are all originals.
Okay.
So lots more content. We, again, want to thank everybody who has subscribed over the past few weeks. We continue to add a few more, and it's really exciting to us. Please be sure to hit us up in the comments if there's content you want us to hit. If you've got questions, we'll try and get to those as quickly as we can. And I don't have anything else for this week unless you do.
Nope. Thank you, everybody. And make sure you check out Kelly's new show, Roll Deep with OG Multiball.
Goodbye.